Hello everyone, it's Doug Grindle here with the Mass Political Blog, with the Massachusetts political community as the community. And so just to get right in it for this final project, the question is who are these people in the community? And obviously we have several key influencers which are made up of a number of people within some broad categories. Groups, people, and campaigns. Groups might be, for instance, Mass GOP Republicans or the Massachusetts Democrats, as well as pressure groups or aggregators such as Red Mass Group or Blue Mass Group. As well, there are people such as state reps such as Sean O'Connell or Jeff Deal, or commentators such as Holly Robichaud, who obviously writes a column for one of the newspapers. And as well, there are campaigns such as Martha Coakley and Charlie Baker and Steve Grossman are running for governor, and Karen Polito running for lieutenant governor. All these people, obviously, as you can see, have personalities on Twitter and other social media accounts. So moving right along, if we look at why do we have the Mass Political Blog, the whole point was to identify and develop key information sources, disseminate messages of importance along multiple social media channels, aiming to spur conversation or visibility among key nodes. And really, a lot of this conversation is topical, so there might be one or two issues per week, but we can preview and look forward to know what's, to a certain extent, what's coming down the pike. So we have to adjust to a certain extent as well. So the strategy for all this is to identify and follow the key nodes, to identify the key messages, including, using our content matrix, which we put together a few weeks ago, where possible to leverage events and therefore basically taking a look at what's coming up and use the events to comment on them and to attract viewers and interest. And the point of the strategy as well is to disseminate these messages along the multiple social media channels again, and to, in an ongoing process of interaction that grows opportunities to gain influence in among these conversations and as we go along to increase visibility among the key nodes. So, and really just to spur conversation, because many times it's difficult for people on the outside to really get a sense as to what's going on, and there's a really good opportunity to figure out what's going on and spread it in a sort of user-friendly sort of manner. So the tactics behind the strategy obviously is to identify the key issues and develop the content, then use the blog to form the basis of the ideas. That would be for one or two issues a week. And this will basically attract views, and the blog will be the thing the big idea that backstops the whole thing. At the same time, the tactics include creating social media posts, primarily on Facebook and Twitter, which alert key nodes to these ideas and channel them to the blog. So, the blog really is the forum with 500 words at a time, and where you can elaborate on these ideas. And social media, Facebook, Twitter, sort of pushes people in that sort of direction. Now, looking at the results, however, it's difficult as we look back on things such as utility. Many of these things are really ramped towards more commercial applications. Perhaps there'd be reviews, whether it's on Yelp or something like that. Perhaps people would actually sign up and order something. Well, then there would be a manual log that someone ordered it, or perhaps information filled into forms. For instance, hey, do you want some more information about our product? And some other sales tracking, including where did the leads come from and who are these people. Difficult basically in a blog type atmosphere. So instead, I think what we would generally look for are more sort of Facebook comments, visits to the blog, retweets and references on other social media posts, such as Facebook, by these key nodes, and really just other people. So looking more specifically at this sort of thing, let's look at Twitter. I mean, if you look at Topsy, Twitter, Topsy is really showing that there's very little activity. However, Not sure really why. As we can see though from the Mass Political blogs, out of like 15 tweets, and following 47 people with 11 followers now, it's like there's a certain amount of activity which is perhaps not reflected on Topsy. Topsy is generally pretty good, but the tweets, not as many as there could be, still sort of speak for themselves. Now, looking at this, I did find that Twitonomy is like actually a pretty darn good site for a bit more of the evaluation sort of stuff. And you can sort of see on the right here is that there's a certain number of tweets per day, a lot of ones, a couple of twos, and stuff which is just basically going on. And it's interesting is like, and this also tells you, like what is most retweeted. And we had something on Mark Fisher, who is running for governor as well against Charlie Baker, and some back and forth at the convention. That was pretty popular. And also Justina Pelletier has been a popular topic in the sense that many people get incensed at the fact that she's been under state custody, in state custody for over a year. So these some topics naturally jump out in terms of people being interested. And also looking at Simply Measured, again, very helpful. Shows that this is really early days for this blog concept, considering like we have 11 followers and their audience is huge, 540,000, and we have 15 tweets so far. Many of our audience actually averages 2,200. So, and it's just simply building up. It's just starting from the beginning, and it's very good. Simply Measured is really gives you that sense as to where we are in that in that process. Facebook. Not a lot of activity, frankly, on Facebook. One reason for that is there's only 5 likes on the page. But there's even with 5 likes, it's difficult to measure with the Facebook analytics, frankly. At the same time, Facebook does show how many people saw each post. So we see on this one, polls nationally going badly for the Democrats, in Massachusetts going slightly better. One person looked at that. And then the Justina Pelletier again. This is sort of like a push towards the blog. Is 2 people saw that post, so it's not a lot, but then again, it's early days on Facebook. And I do get the sense that Facebook is much less effective in terms of getting the word out than Twitter is, simply because of hashtags. We'll talk about that in a little bit. WordPress, the blog. Interesting. So the analytics from WordPress are actually pretty darn good. And you can sort of see over here on April 28th, around about, when the blog came up, which was, Mark Fisher and the Mass GOP and the convention, like few people between 10 and 15 clicked on that to take a look. So that's actually a pretty good deal. I like WordPress analytics. I also like the fact that it's, that it's just helpful. Pinterest. Problem with Pinterest, not really a lot of like graphics that are interesting. That's the combination of graphics and content. Haven't really done a lot on that. Would like to have done more, but here's a little bit about what was done, but repins, not so much. So conclusions then. When we look at this, it takes time to build up a body of work. Some topics have greater interest than others. Mark Fisher and Justina Pelletier, again, very, very great amount of interest in those topics. The best strategy, I feel, is to write the blogs and then support them with Facebook and Twitter. I think Twitter, out of the 2, Twitter works better, and the judicious use of hashtags is key to maintaining and gaining momentum. And these are a couple of really good hashtags, MassPoly and Free Justina, for instance. And at the same time, more conclusions. As this suggests, blogs and Twitter works best, and I think that the blog and the Twitter works better, frankly, than blog and Facebook, or blog and Facebook or Pinterest, or anything else, or even like Pinterest and Twitter. It just works pretty well. This is a pilot project, but it's worth continuing because there's relatively few competitors in the space. there just aren't that many. There's a few blogs, not that many, and newspaper op-eds, but really wrapping it together, not so much. And I do believe that this pilot program will slowly gain momentum as people see how it's useful, but that'll build up as the hashtags push people towards the blog. And it will be helpful with some cross-fertilization of across media forums. And lastly, this is as we saw in the beginning of the course. This is all about social media. It's individual, interactive, conversational, informational, accessible, shareable. It's just good stuff, and people can really benefit from it. So thanks a lot. It's been a fun course. Take care. Bye.